Welcome back to the Wheel Friends podcast, the comedy podcast that takes place in the world of bicycling. I'm your host, Craig Richards, currently commuting to work on a beautiful Wednesday morning. I think I might be late. We'll see how this plays out. In this week's episode, I talk with my friend Jonathan Tasman, a recent initiate in the world of bicycling, about his first month of riding. We're also going to talk about ways to stay visible on a bicycle. We'll also try and help some more strangers from Yahoo Answers. All that and more after this. On July 31st, I met up with my friend Jonathan Tasman. Jonathan is a filmmaker, marketer, and recent convert to the world of cycling. We met in the early evening and Jonathan requested a 20-mile bike ride. So we hopped on the Fred Meyer White Pine Trail that runs from Grand Rapids, Michigan, all the way to Cadillac. And after 10 miles or so, we stopped at Rogue River Park to talk about his recent re-entry into cycling. Okay, so you got this bike, we're coming up on a month now. When did you get that?
That sounds about right. I don't have an exact date. I know I was bunny sitting last time, and I was...
Bunny sitting.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you saw the bunny. You came and helped me set the bike up.
I forget, though. Like, that was a very minor detail in my story for how I would retell that. But before you got this bike, you had that little folding bike. And
I had a clown bike.
Yes. As much as I try and be bike positive and not say anything bad about anybody's bike, that bike was, in fact, a bike for clowns. The wheels, I want to say, were 14 inches, which is why when I was holding on to it, I never wanted to take it out of my house. Just because I don't have...
You get laughed at?
Well, I don't have a 14-inch tube, so there's more practical purposes. Because, like, No, okay, going out of the house on a folding bike is not something I'm afraid of. That is something I open my arms and dive headfirst into. I was willing, I just was not willing to buy an extra tube for your clown bike. So this is your first adult man-sized bicycle.
Yes, this is my first man-sized bicycle. Neon green wheels, white frame, stickers from Craig.
This I'm a big sticker. If you want to make friends easily, just bring 500 stickers with you wherever you go and just start giving them away. So in this past month, what have you learned about bicycling that you didn't know before? Because, like, I imagine the riding you did before on your clown bike wasn't a whole lot of, like, going back and forth around town. It wasn't your grocery getter. It was, what did you ride? How did you ride that thing?
I think I rode it like 3 times because I was like, this would be great. I'll just fold it up and put it in my car and have it available when my friends are like, let's go for bike rides. And then I tried riding it and realized...
14-inch wheels don't spin very... Well, they spin fast. They don't spin far.
Yeah, I didn't realize that wheel size was at all relevant because I was like, oh, great. This is a cute little bike. It will pack up and fit into my Suzuki Vitara, which has almost no space for any sort of thing, and pulled it out and rode it a few times, and I was like, this is awful. Why do I have this bike? Poor decisions were made. And so I didn't think about it, and that was 2 years ago, I think. So I honestly, I don't even think I rode it a half dozen. You probably rode it more than I did, honestly.
I would ride that thing for hours in my basement, just going around in circles.
Honestly, you probably put more tire time on it than I did, if we're being serious. Yeah, I rode it around Grand Rapids a couple times and was like, this is the worst.
This is bad.
This is not good.
This is not a good bicycle.
No, and so I packed it up and shoved it in a corner and didn't think about it and didn't think about riding my bike. And then I was like, I think I'd like to try a real bike. A man-sized bike. I think I'd like to grow up a little bit.
You and I are short people, so like a short man-sized bike.
A short man-sized bike. 5'6", 5'5", if we're being honest, and change.
You're riding that how many days a week are you riding that now?
At least 2. First 2 weeks I had it, I think I rode it nearly every day. which was great.
I think that's if I'm going to recommend anybody like get into bicycling, I would say like get your bike and ride it, and then the next day ride it, and the next day ride it.
Right. Well, the other thing is there's a large park near town. It's not very far. I can drive to it. The bike fits in my car because I have a different vehicle now. And so just my seats are always down. My bike is in my back seat. I pull up to the park and I whip out my bike and I zoom around for an hour, hour and a half. And I don't have to worry about traffic laws right now because I'm riding in a park.
Yeah.
I have to, stop at crossings, but for the most part, it's the basic laws, turning signals, staying on the right side.
Yeah.
Taking up the full lane if there's no bike lane when you're taking a left.
So basically, do your best to follow the rules of the road, obey traffic signals, and make sure you signal which direction you're going. Nowadays, at least in Michigan, you don't actually have to do it with only your left arm. It used to be the law, but now you can just point, which I recommend. I recommend swinging your arms wildly like a mad person, pointing wherever you're going. And speaking of getting attention,
You ever foam finger it?
that'd be a fun accessory. A foam finger. I've looked
Put a
into
backpack on and have a red foam finger and a yellow foam finger or something, and then you pull one lever and then it lifts it up.
That's a little overly complex, but it reminds me.
But also fun.
Also fun, but it reminds me of there was this art bike project thing where it was basically a concept backpack that you would wear when you were biking, and should you have to suddenly slam on your brakes or something, these giant 5-foot butterfly wings would deploy. And the idea was, if a motorist was almost to hit you, and then suddenly these giant butterfly wings or ladybug wings, they had a couple different models, they would deploy. And the idea is that they would remember that moment, and they would next time, think before they cross a cyclist's path, or I don't know, just be more aware of cyclists. This is a unique butterfly of a person. I don't know.
Okay, riddle me this. If you saw two big butterfly wings,
I would be like, where is Ashton Kutcher, or where's the cameras? Because the person just turned into a butterfly.
is X-Men real? I need to know.
Is a parade about to come through here?
Am I in a parade?
Is the circus in town? I need to know right now.
So you want to answer these bike questions?
Yeah, let's. I do think that. I think that one's going to be good.
Do you have any tips on how to get into biking? How long would it take to go 12 miles on a bike? Well, user with a troll face icon.
Well, there's flavor text here. I live practically in the middle of nowhere, but there's a town 6 miles away. I have walked there and back before, and it took me 8 hours. How long would it take to go 12 miles on a bike? Thinking of getting one.
Here, Craig, the next episode, you and I are going to walk 12 miles.
Oh, no. That would be a nightmare. My bike podcast where we just walk 12 miles. Admittedly, it'd probably be great to get sound for a walking podcast.
Yeah,
as opposed
surprise
to a biking
episode.
TM. The Walk Friends is my next podcast.
Please tune in where we walk.
The Walk Friends.
The Walking Friends.
We talk about walking shoes.
Call it a, what's that? Aboriginal, Australian, a walkabout.
The Walkabout. I'm not Australian though, so it's the Walkabout podcast is a good podcast idea. Okay, so like with you, and when you got this bike a month ago, we first rode it from the bunny sitting house to my house.
Yes.
And that was
a barbecue.
3 miles there and 3 miles back.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's a nice digestible chunk of time. Yeah, I would say it'd probably be best to start 3 miles. If you haven't ridden in a while, or if it's been years, your first time picking up an adult bicycle, just pick it up, go around the block, go around a couple blocks, go till you're tired. But don't push yourself. 12 miles you can do in a week to a week and a half. Let's do the opposite of that last question. Can a fit guy catch a cyclist who is crushing at 13 to 15 miles per hour? Say, if I'm riding my bike, cruising 15 to 17 miles an hour, and I give a guy the finger and this trigger his anger, could he catch me if I'm going 15 to 17 miles per hour nonstop? Joey the antagonist is riding his bicycle, cruising 15 to 17 miles per hour, and he sees this guy kicking a puppy and he says, hey, fuck that guy, gives him the finger. That guy though is Olympic sprinter Usain Bolt.
He's not getting away.
He's not, because here's the mistake this question asker made in this hypothetical. He overpowered himself. Can a fit guy catch a cyclist?
Yeah.
He's not saying can
Average Joe.
I'm biking by a biker bar.
That would be an even worse decision because their wheels have motors.
Oh, that's right.
Don't do that.
I've never had problems with a biker.
No, bikers are really cool. Even the ones who are hard asses.
A motor biker, I should say.
The motorbikers, they're great.
But that's obviously not who Joey the antagonist is flipping off here.
Hopefully not. So, Joe the antagonist.
Can a fit guy catch a cyclist crushing at 13? Absolutely not.
No, they could.
So, like, okay.
But the fit guy has to use all of his energy on the front end.
It has to be as soon.
As soon
as Joey lifts that finger up.
This guy's sprinting. This is a funny image.
He's got like these cat-like reflexes.
It's got to be right when he takes off because
he sees that middle finger crest and he says, like in a millisecond later, hell no, and he is dead sprint after our cyclist. Because I would say that it's possible for like a sprinter to exceed 13 miles an hour, but they're sprinting in a very short amount of time.
Right, that's the thing is
so
it's going to be...
Don't flip off sprinters.
It's going to be a 10-second incident whether they catch you or not.
And then could he catch me? Like that part, like that's some precision. Your dexterity's got to be high.
Well, forget the dexterity. You just need to be in a blind rage and hit the piece of metal enough to get in its way. So if you're riding and I'm coming up behind you...
Hold on. Are you about to give advice on how to stop a cyclist who's riding?
Yes.
It should go without saying that in my bike positive comedy show about bicycling, I'm not going to include instructions for taking a rider off their bike. Update on the commute, however, I do have a half hour to get to work now, which is less than ideal because I will be cutting it close. And I don't like that because I show up and as soon as you stop riding, you start sweating. And I don't like to be sweaty at start time. So if you do commute to work, I recommend not recording voiceover for your podcast and also arriving a little bit early. Anyway, Jonathan and I eventually did come to a compromise.
Cyclists who flip people off are stupid and you make the bike community look bad. And the fact that you're asking this question makes you look like a jerk.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good answer. Our unsolicited advice. Can a fit guy... Is he planning on giving someone the finger? Could he catch me if I'm going non-stop?
Yes. This sounds premeditated.
Yeah, this sounds like you should probably just slow your roll and do whatever you think you're doing. Don't do it. Find a different bike route. Hey, that'll do it for the Wheel Friends podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Thank you for the nice words you've written on iTunes and Twitter and our Facebook page. It's been wonderful to hear such great positive feedback. As always, you can leave that positive feedback in any of those places I was talking about. And if you really like the show and you want to tell a friend about it, please do. If you have a friend who might be getting interested in bicycling, maybe tell them about the show. I think they'll appreciate some of the input we have to give. A big thank you to Jonathan Tasman for being on the show today. You can check out John's production reel, which features a cameo by yours truly at his website, GoLittleWorld.com, or on his YouTube channel, Little World, which also features a bike ride he and I went on that was filmed on a DJI Osmo in glorious 4K resolution. So if you want to see what I look like in 4K, you can look at that. Also, those links will be posted on the show's social media profiles. Make sure you find the Wheel Friends podcast on Facebook and Instagram, or at the Wheel Friends on Twitter. Also, those links will be posted on the show's social media profiles. You can find the Wheel Friends podcast on Facebook and Instagram, or at the Wheel Friends on Twitter. And for any inquiries, you can always shoot an email to wheelfriendspodcast@gmail.com. Go ride your bike. Yes, I am late for work.